Welcome back, guys. It's Z with the Motivated Moneymaker YouTube channel. And in today's video, I will be talking about the mistakes I made as a failed e-commerce store owner. So, when I first started my e-commerce store, I was what some of you may call young, dumb, and broke. And while that is not wrong, I was just looking for a way to make additional money. I was a young entrepreneur, and this is what I wanted to do. And so one of these days, I was hearing a lot about Shopify, e-commerce, drop shipping, and I was seeing a lot of people were making money from it. And so I did what any person looking to make money does. I jumped head in first. I dove head in, and I didn't do any research, any preparation, and that ended up costing me a business. And so that's the purpose of this video. I want to tell you the mistakes I made so you don't have to make them and you can run a successful e-commerce store. And again, this is perfect if you are new to e-commerce and you're looking for the do's and don'ts to run your e-commerce store. So without further ado, let's get started. But before I continue, please hit that like and subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you can be the first to know when I upload a new video. Now that I've said that, let's get started. Mistake number 1. I did not do any market research. So again, as I stated earlier, when I started my e-commerce drop shipping store, I was young, dumb, and broke. Meaning I was looking for any way to make money. So when I first heard people making an insane amount of money using e-commerce stores, I immediately dove headfirst into the e-commerce world. And so instead of doing research and developing a strategy, learning the right way and wrong way to do things, I immediately jumped into creating a Shopify account, started immediately adding products, working on the layout of my store. And that cost me a lot, not doing that research and not creating a strategy, because I was just throwing products in, and that's what my main focus was, putting products in my store. And the thing is, I did not look to see if there was a market for these products. I didn't, and that's very, very important, because if you don't have a market for the products, then you're wasting your time putting products in a store for no reason. And this is really for several reasons. If your market is too small, then no one is there. And if your market is oversaturated, then there's a lot of vendors already over there that have a lot of customers. A lot of competition is already over there. And so if I were to give anyone advice, is to find a product that is like right there in the middle. And if it needs to be, you can find something that's a little bit on either side of that middle. Just a decent size market so your product can sell, and it's not over here where it practically doesn't exist. It's not over here with a load of competition. It's like right there in the middle. And this actually leads me into mistake number 2. On to mistake number 2. Not being consistent with my product choices. And what I mean by this is that I found myself using multiple dropshipping vendors. I was creating products while also dropshipping them from other vendors, such as AliExpress, and I used Printful to create the designs for my t-shirts. And so this led to several problems. First, there was an inconsistency within product descriptions. So I could click on a product within the same category, have a nice detailed description, and then I would click on another product. Let's say it was hats. So I have 2 products in the hats category. One I created, one I drop shipped from AliExpress. They both would have completely different structures in the product descriptions, and that inconsistency is noticed by customers, and it can lead to a lack of trust. I mean, the main thing you want for your store is consistency, and if you can't have that between products, people will notice it. The second problem this caused was there was a bit of inconsistency as well within shipping rates. So I may be able to ship this within a certain amount of days, and then another product would take maybe a month at most. And when you have these inconsistencies, it's really hard to create a shipping policy. And so it's like, okay, well, what do I do? How do I balance this out? And how do you explain that to customers? How do you explain, well, this just somehow gets here quicker? Same products, same hats as they're supposed to be, but this one's faster and this one's slower. And again, it's really hard to explain that. So my advice is to stick with one vendor, and so that way you don't have to worry about this whole inconsistency problem between products. Now, on to mistake number 3. Mistake number 3: failing to understand the power of SEO, search engine optimization. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I was young and very uneducated, so I really did not understand what SEO was. Now that I'm older, I have such a stronger handle on SEO, and it's important in as an entrepreneur. But then I just thought, no, it couldn't be a big deal. And this really revolves around me not having a marketing strategy or not doing research at all for that period. Again, I dove head first in on this e-commerce drop shipping business. And I honestly believe that SEO is one of the bigger mistakes on this list, because the keywords, how I described my product could have put it in front of a whole lot more people. But me not understanding that, me not using those keywords, it cost me, an audience, a potential audience, potential customers, because I couldn't wrap, my mind around putting specific phrases in there to target an audience. And so at the end of the day, if there was one thing I honestly could go back and fix, one mistake, this would be one of them, one of the main ones, putting a more emphasis on my SEO research and so forth. With that being said, let's move on to mistake number 4. Mistake number 4: I was spending money where I did not need to spend it. Now, there are 2 things I want to talk about here. First, I was spending money on Shopify apps. And the reason for this is because I had this belief that paid apps were completely superior to free apps. And while that may necessarily be true, because paid apps can offer more than free apps, the thing about free apps is that they provide just enough to get the job done until you can upgrade to paying for them. But I didn't think about this because, again, I am very young and uneducated. And so I go for these paid apps, and I end up paying like $100 per month when I honestly did not even need to do that. I could have just stuck with the free applications and only paid $29 per month for that Shopify plan. So if I could go back and fix, one of these mistakes, this would have to be right there, up there with the SEO mistake. Now, on to the second part of this mistake. I was spending a lot of money on ads. And again, like I mentioned in the previous mistake, this revolves around me not having a strategy whatsoever. And the real only ads I was really spending money on were Instagram. I was spending a lot of money on Instagram ads, and I was still not seeing the results I wanted. I was not getting a ROI, a return on investment, because I honestly also did not understand Instagram ads, how to appeal to an audience. I really didn't understand copywriting. I've gotten better at copywriting. And so, again, not having a plan, not understanding how to appeal and talk to people, that cost me a lot. And that actually leads me into mistake number 5. Mistake number 5: not leveraging the use of social media. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I was running Instagram ads, but I really did not understand it. I did not understand that there were multiple other platforms I could have used as well. And I also didn't understand the features of these platforms, the free features of these platforms. Instagram Reels would have been really great for my business, but I did not know how to use them. If anything, I was also very much of an introvert, so showing my face was not an option. And I also did not understand that I could use Pinterest. I used Facebook ads, not as much as I used Instagram ads, but I did use Facebook ads. I had no idea how to copyright, appeal to people, and those little things, you know, over time, spending that money, those $10, $20, that accrues. And so I found myself over time spending about maybe $100, $200 on advertisement with no return on investment. And I also, as I mentioned earlier, I did not invest in these free ways to expose my business. Again, Instagram Reels, I did not do Instagram Stories. I was not talking to people or furthering my community. I was not growing with people. And so my lack of understanding of social media at the end of the day did cost me my e-commerce business. And that leads us into mistake number 6. Mistake number 6. Not having a strategy to accomplish my goals. You can set all the goals you want in the world, but if you don't have a strategy to turn those goals into reality, you just wasted your time. And trust me when I tell you, I learned this the hard way. I honestly believe all the mistakes on this list could have been avoided if I just sat down, took time to prepare, do research, and develop a strategy to take my business to the next level. But instead, I found myself wandering aimlessly, just putting products here, running an ad here, just throwing things at the wall and hoping it will stick. And that is no way to run a business. And so one of the main reasons why I think I didn't immediately develop a strategy is because, again, I was younger, but I also listened to a lot of motivational speakers. And this is not to take place blame anywhere. It's just to say that I know I listen to a lot of them, and you hear it a lot, just like, go for it, the time is now, it's now or never. And you hear that a lot. And so that's the mentality that I was in, is now or never. And so I just went for it. But I honestly believe I should have stopped, done the research, developed a strategy, put something together, give myself some sort of footing. So that way when I started stepping into the e-commerce world, I had some foundation. But I did not have that. And honestly, it is very, very crucial. I would say just to give yourself at least a week, 2 weeks to do the research, to find the products before you go in and say, I'm just going to do it. Because in the end, you may find yourself spending a lot more than you are gaining. And this leads me into mistake number 7. Mistake number 7. Failing to build a community around my business. This is a big one because as a business, you want repeat customers. You don't want someone that's just there once and that's it. You want them to continue purchasing from you over and over again. So whether it's a social board or a Facebook group, it is very, very important that you keep your current clients or customers and potential customers in the loop about things going on in the business, such as sales and discounts or policy updates. And so my failure to do that eventually cost me my any potential customers that I had, and it also cost me my e-commerce business. So it is very, very important to build yourself a community of people who are interested in what you do, what your message is, and what your purpose is as a business. Because if you don't have a community, then you have no one you can sell to. So build yourself a community. On to the last mistake that I made that cost me my e-commerce business. Mistake number 8, jumping in way too soon. Now, this is a mistake that ties everything together. Because when I first jumped into the e-commerce and dropshipping world, I had no strategy, no plan of action, no course of direction, and I did zero research. So I ended up spending a lot of money, time, and effort setting up a business that was not prepared to succeed. And my hope is that everyone watching this video, especially new e-commerce store owners and people who are interested in opening up an e-commerce store, my hope is that you take the mistakes that I made and you learn from them the same way that I did. And the reality is, you're still going to make a lot of mistakes. There is no such thing as perfection, and mistakes will be made. But I hope that you can take this video and you can learn from it the same way that I am still learning today. And I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I hope you found it very, very helpful. And if you did, please hit that like and subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you can be the first to know when I upload a new video. Well, that's it. Until next time, take care and stay safe.